Silk charmeuse, no less, is a very common reference when it comes to the house of Micallef. Well, let's see how true that is. The house of Micallef, Maison Micallef, or there are rumors that the first Micallef comes actually from Martina, who is the kind of the art soul behind the whole brand. Her husband, who is sponsoring the whole venture, and also like they both, I think, sold out their businesses and pulled together for this kind of like family business affair. They do collaborate with, I think, mainly one perfumer, but it's possible that I'm not sure if there are like other people that they invite, or there is like mostly just one in-house perfumer. Anyway, they've been celebrating, I think, 20 years anniversary, not a long time ago. I think they were founded in 1996. In 1997 we got our first fragrance released to the market, and I mean, potentially a hotly debated opinion, but I kind of feel that a house of Kilian that launched a good decade after them kind of copied a lot of the accords and a lot of the sound, because the Micallef to me is first and foremost is the king of sweet floral peachy musks. In a nutshell, Micallef, at least to me, in my experience, is the most beloved and cherished for their approach to skin-like peachy musks. But so is Kilian. Though Kilian obviously had a larger financial backing, it seems, and they went much further with their releases and with the whole kind of hard luxury marketing story. In that sense, Micallef is a very quirky house. Their main offer to the market is kind of like artisan, almost handcrafted approach to making perfumes. So let's see how much it really stands through the test of my personal taste in terms of packaging, the concepts, the marketing, and the juice what's actually inside. I think a good way to start would be this particular fragrance. I have a full-size bottle of MP number 2. I think the line called Makeup Studio or something like that. And I think they have two fragrances in that line, MP1 and MP2. MP2, the whole line is fairly obscure, meaning you can find it on a really deep discounts online if you look for it. But it was one of the second. It was the second perfume that I got full size from Micallef, and I actually love it a lot. I heard very polarizing opinions about it. Some people find it a bit obnoxious and simple. I actually find it delightful and full of afternoon kind of August sun. To me, Amputee by Micallef, the juice itself, is a very delightful, sweet, vibrant, optimistic peach, very ripe, that's been left outside on the afternoon scorching Florida sun. So you know, like when you leave a fruit outside in the direct sunlight, it kind of like gets burned, kind of almost baked. The sweetness gets baked into the drying edges of the fruit. And this is what I feel the kind of peach it is. It has a lot of the peach skin. It's sweet and almost in a kind of hard candy type of fashion, but it doesn't go too far. It doesn't become clownish. It doesn't become, for my nose, it doesn't become cheap, this kind of like cheap mainstream hard candy gourmand. It still stays within the boundaries of being interesting and not smothering sweet. I actually really enjoy this peach. To me is one of these kind of peach jammy type of fragrances that I can wear, and most of them I actually can't wear at all. That's probably the end of the good news. The bad news, I don't know if you can see from here, but this is about the worst, okay, one of the worst bottles that I've ever held in my hands. The glass is incredibly cheap. You can see the seams. It's really, there's nothing about it that says refined or luxury. Literally nothing. It's just such a bizarre design. Whether you have the lip gloss here or not, it's just really very unfortunate design. There's nothing appealing in it in terms of the both concept and especially execution. I know of only one perfume line that's worse, and that's I think Ferretti by Brocard. But in similar vein, the juices there are amazing. The bottling and the packaging is just appallingly bad. The kind of plasticky, the plasticky, very cheaply gold-plated plastic. It's just so bad. The glass is the worst. The mirror, it's so incongruous to me how you can even release something like that, and how could anyone buy it full price at least. It's even too bad for the price tag of $30-40 that you can sometimes find online for this fragrance. It's just, it's bewildering. Let's leave it at that. But as I compared with Brocard Ferretti line, that costs under $10 for 100 ml, because that's a very kind of like experimental, budget-friendly perfume house. They release a lot of kind of olfactory experiments, partially why they're so favorited by Bertrand de Chaufour and some other more experimental like perfumers. They give a kind of a playground to a lot of perfumers to play, but while keeping their prices very low. Therefore, I imagine a fairly harsh restrictions on what kind of ingredients they can use, and yet they still manage to come up with delightful eau de toilettes and like light colognes, but they cost under $10. All right, I can sort of understand a really cheap packaging, even though I don't. There are ways to do cheap packaging that is still fun. It doesn't look. It doesn't look trashy. When we're talking about Micallef prices, like imagine buying something like this full price. This is just absurd, honestly. You see the seams, you can see the cardboard and the glue. It's just so bizarre. This is plastic. Anyway, the Amputee as a fragrance though, I absolutely love. So what I do, I usually kind of pour more of it into a decant and I put it in my purse, and that's how I enjoy the scent without thinking about the bewildering mystery of the packaging. The next one, I think it's fair to kind of restore the good name for those who care of the house of Micallef, and to talk about one of their best sellers. I got myself, this is my second decant of it. This is Royal Musca. I think this is one really big noticeable repackaging that they did when they started using this rectangular, more sharp-edged, a little bit more polished packaging, better type of lids, but in my not so humble opinion, regrettably a lot of Swarovski crystals. There's like nothing will cheapen the perfume more than absurdly large amount of crystals put on it. Just my channel, my opinion. I like crystals just as much as any other person, but there is a way to use them that's tacky, and the way to use them sparingly that, just adds a little bit of a bling. So Micallef House and Martina's Taste, I see, tends to be more on a kind of like kids' Halloween party, or I don't know, child pageant kind of type of crystal. So it's like a lot, they're bright, they're big, they're everywhere. Royal Musca, nevertheless, is one of the better examples of how Micallef packages their perfumes. I like it so much that I dare say I would buy a full-size bottle if I found it on a decent deal online. So this is Silk Charmeuse. This is what we all love Micallef House for. If you've never tried any of their perfumes, I think this is a beautiful, very true to the spirit of the house introduction to their perfumes. Obviously, they have a variety. They have Gaillac, which is like a woody. They have more spicy scents, more austere, more severe, more sweeter, and this and this and that. But when we talk about something that is like almost has DNA of how the best of Micallef perfumes are blended, Royal Musk is one of the beautiful examples. If this is very vibrant, kind of a little bit sun-dried peach, this is the most luxurious skincare you can imagine. Like, I don't know, buying a tub of La Mer or something like that, and just marrying it with soothing, kind of like peach milkshake maybe. The musk here is not too sweet, not sour at all. It's just very lotiony, very skin-like. And the peach just wraps it up like a caressing cocoon. This is like a souffle in a fragrance. Beautiful, very luscious. This is what makes me think of actually hard luxury, like a born to wealth type of comfort zone. And I must say, when we're talking about, what is it, what's the other very famous kind of peachy musk by Kilian? Like, see, like, to me, the luxury, hard luxury that as it portrayed by Kilian is very tortured. It's very like hard, forced in your throat. While here, the Royal Musk by Micallef, it's the peachy musk, that like the hard luxury that's effortless. It's what I said, it's like being born to luxury. It's like being born with a good taste for well-crafted things. And I must say, I'm very happy that the packaging kind of is better aligned this time with the scent profile itself. So it's a very, very near the top of my wish list to get myself a full-size bottle. And I just hope that the crystals will not fall off like they tend to do on other Micallef bottles. So, Royal Musk, Silk Charmeuse, peachy milkshake, beautiful, luscious, very much self-soothing and comforting type of scent that makes you just feel sensual. Be you man or woman, it doesn't matter. Beautiful, love it, love it, love it. It's probably, let's see how we progress, but I'll nominate it as my top 1 recommendation to try from the house. The next one I want to tell you about, I bought myself, which is very rare, but I bought myself a 2 ml sample of Micallef Pure Extreme. After having such good luck with their peachy musks, I was kind of like really eager to explore further. And on the blotter, every time I try Pure Extreme on the blotter, I was like, what's so extreme about it? It's rather like a sensuous, another maybe slightly more bright. The musk here is a little bit more zesty, but it still seems like a peachy musk to me, just like as good as all the other musks, you know, like in all the other kind of fruity white florals that Micallef does to perfection. But when I apply it on the skin, oh my god, there the musk just grabs it and it just becomes so loud. I wouldn't go as far to say that this is as obnoxious as Juliette Hazegan musks or Tiziana Terenzi musks. No, still very wearable in my view. If you tried Royal Musk and you thought it was almost too nudie, it was too quiet or too soft, I would say that Pure Extreme is the next one to actually give a chance to. However, I thought it was like, oh, it's just a more loud, a little bit more fresh and zesty peachy musk. None of the kind. I got fooled just by my default expectations. This is actually marshmallow rose, so the sweetness here is much more candy-like. And the kind of the freshness and zestiness of the musk is supported by this certain sourness that the rose oil can give you, like a Bulgarian rose. You know what I mean? Like certain roses have a little bit of this kind of like sourness to them. And this is definitely here. Sweetness here is also a little bit louder and a little bit more, I mean, more marshmallow note accord. Imagine what that is like. So that is I would say a little bit more kind of hot pink version of Royal Musca. And to me, Royal Musca is the paragon of luscious nude fragrance. I can't think of anything more luxurious in this kind of silk charmeuse type of way. Yet Pure Extreme I find to be a little bit more punchy. It's like kawaii princess in a bottle. I like it. I don't love it. It's kind of like it depends on your taste. But I dare say if I was gifted a decant or a bottle, I wouldn't be appalled. I wouldn't be mad. No, I think I would be fine. I would make it work. This, if I'm not mistaken, was sent to my blogger's address by a beloved subscriber. This is their Secret of Love collection. Differently packaged, the whole concept kind of, it has like its own concept. And the one that I have here, Passion. Passion, let's see. Let's refresh my memory. You see, like, this is what I love about this house. Any note they take, any idea, it's just the way that they are blended is just so effortlessly smooth. And for whatever reason, I'm very partial and biased toward Micallef. I for some reason feel that they are kind of like rivals in the way that they approach kind of this like the feeling of luxury and lusciousness, Kilian and Micallef, even though in marketing Kilian is probably a closer rival to Tom Ford, but in terms of the profiles and how their best sellers are blended, I find that Micallef and Kilian are closer, and I like Micallef more. I'm torn apart by some choices of packaging and decoration. It's just bewildering to me. But the blending, Again, here we get a slightly different story. So let me quickly check the notes. So they say that this is oud, essentially oud with caramel wrapped with spices. You know, I don't really feel much oud here, and like to me this is good news. I don't feel much caramel either. To me this is amazing news, because caramel is one of the most overused accords in all gourmands. I think we should give caramel a break, to be honest, for the next 10 years. Maybe it's just me, maybe a popular opinion. To me, this is hot, sweet spices with some kind of slightly overboiled, nutty dessert. But this is, again, such a smoothly and tastefully blended that the spices here are not too prickly and they're not too harsh, but they're still noticeable. And the sweetness, this is what I really like, that the Micallef house walks a very fine line with making unmistakable gourmands that are not obnoxious, and they don't go to the territory of Poison Girls, La Vie Belles, and Black Opiums, and such and such and such. Not that there is anything wrong with liking those perfumes, it's just, to me, this is like liquid obesity in a bottle. So those kind of cotton candy, ethyl maltol, heavy type of fragrances. When Micallef does gourmands, I guess similar to Serge Lutens to a degree, it is always recognizable to the way they do it, and it's super smooth. And again, I'm unfortunately for some reason can't quite vibe with gourmands by Serge Lutens, with a few notable exceptions, but I adore Micallef gourmands. And again, out of character for me, because I'm a little bit traumatized with how much sweetness and liquid sugar we're experiencing in mainstream. So I might have loved Gourmands way more if they were not as shut down our throat in every single release. But here I'm charmed. So am I charmed enough to actually buy a full-size bottle of Passion? I'm not sure. I feel like I have sweet, hot, dark spices in other perfumes. If you're curious, let me know. We can try to do a bit of like a dedicated comparison video. I think it will be actually very appropriate for the late fall and winter. Kind of hotter, sweeter type of spices, more gourmand type of spices. And I kind of feel that I have a few in my collection that I might still prefer more than the Passion fragrance. But it's good. I enjoy it. I'll finish the sample with pleasure. Alright, now let's talk about Elan Gold. Very similar packaging to Royal Muscat. Quite a different perfume story, nevertheless. A lot of people call this also kind of like a very silky perfume. I'm a little bit lost because with Elan Gold, I get a much more bright, kind of these jammy, ambery caramel note. And to me, it's almost too loud to be silky. Maybe it softens on the skin of some people. Maybe some people are not as sensitive to the accords here. But to me, to be honest, it's a name. Okay, let's start from the beginning. It's a namesake of Elan accord. Yet, I find a lot of similarities between this and Cashmere by Chapar, Black Pearl by Elizabeth Taylor, and all other kind of cheap amber-centric type of fragrances, where amber smells to me like a very chemical, like cheaply made hard candy with apricot flavor. And this is what I feel here. It's a very bright accord of like a hard candy with a flavoring of apricot. It's bizarre. I don't really like it at all. So, Elan Gold, a complete miss for me. Like a total miss for me. Is it well-rounded? Is it smoothly blended? Yes. Yes. And if you're into these kind of things, if you do like Cashmere by Chapar, if you do like Black Pearl by Elizabeth Taylor, and maybe even Grand Soir by Francis Kurkdjian. Not the same fragrance, but I feel the same kind of roundness of sweet amber accord in here. Maybe it's not even like apricot, it's like pear hard candy. You know, like hard candy with a flavoring of pears. Maybe you'll like it. To me, this is like, nope. And it gets louder and louder the more you pile this. So this is one of the loudest fragrances that I've experienced from Micallef House so far. And the last one, I want to finish on a super positive note, because this is, first of all, a great memory of me discovering Arlene by Delicious Delights, her channel, and me actually rediscovering the accord of Oud. Royal Rose Oud by Micallef. Arlene, back in the day, I think like that video is like several years old, when she talked about her favorite oud fragrances, especially Rose Oud fragrances, which is a very popular combination. She said it was the cleanest, the most wearable, even daytime wearable Rose Oud. When did we ever hear anything like that? And I agree 100%. A subscriber of mine was very generous to send me a 6 ml decant. I used it up completely. It took me a while because it's a very well crafted and like kind of pretty good projection type of perfume. You don't need much to get a full effect. But once I started using it, I knew I had to get a full bottle. It completely changed the way I view Rose and the way that I view Oud. The most unusual, kind of high frequency, light yet noticeable, vibrant, but very clean, very like sterile type of Rose Oud. It's just pure pleasure. And the only little bit of a gripe that I have is, again, the design of the bottle. It's just not, there's something about it. I kind of see where they were going with this, some Art Deco references, but the pink crystals are just completely out of style for here. They're too large, they look cheap. The name of the fragrance is imprinted, you can barely see it there on the bottom, and it's in really unfortunate, kind of like oddly stretched out, ugly font. I really think Micallef Perfumes are due like a glorious like repackaging. I love what's inside, but it's just, it just fills my eyes with tears when I see a gorgeous, unique to the market perfume wrapped in such odd exterior. But I love it so much that, as usual, what I do, I just pour some into a kind of laconically looking decant and I wear it with me that way. Because it just pains me to look at this at this bottle. It's not like it's revolting, I guess, but it's just cheap. To me, it looks cheap. It looks a little bit bizarre. It doesn't look cohesive. It doesn't look stylish. So that's what I have to say about that. The fragrance, though, if you're curious about Rose Oud fragrances, or if you found that they're too heavy for you to wear, especially when they're blended in their like historic references to the Arabic style of blending that is very oil-centric and it's very heavy and it's very, very sweet. This is a very different kind of Rose Oud. This is a very, almost, I dare say, British style of blending, when everything is pure, clean, kind of like as the vibrant and piercing as sound of a bell. Beautiful, just adore it. So when it comes to the absolute favorites, I think I can't decide. These two, Royal Muscat and Royal Rose Oud, they are very different in the way that I perceive them. This is like luscious, skin-like, nude, and kind of like sensuously relaxing. Very seductive in this quiet, demure way. And Royal Rose Oud, which is almost cheerful, yet right and clean. And it's actually another work-appropriate scent that has a lot of character, which is rare. Usually with work-appropriate scents, we're going away from any character. We're going with something very tolerable by anyone. This is, I dare say, something I would wear to work. Okay, I talked for a long time, but I'm actually really curious to hear your impressions and recommendations. We've talked about 6 fragrances by Micallef. I have my eyes on probably another 7. It's just the prices right now are a little bit bitey. And I would love to hear from you. What do you think is worth trying or purchasing from this house? Have you found any like must-haves or favorites by them? What do you compare them with? What do you think about the packaging? What do you think about the concept? Tell me everything. I'll be waiting for your comments, and at this point, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next video.